Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bedtime with Tomi. This evening, we will be reading chapter 29, David. Edmund, excellent, you're 5 minutes early, King Reginald said, looking up from his desk and beckoning his eldest child inside. Father? Eddie inclined his head. David smiled at his cousin and patted the chair next to him. Eddie entered the room and took a seat. I'm so proud of how much you've turned yourself around these past few weeks. Well done indeed, the king grinned. David has briefed me on the plans and causes the Walid's Trust intends to patronize during its initial launch. It shows real initiative that you lads have come up with this all on your own. I'm happy to lend the full weight of the crown behind it. Thank you, sir. David and I truly hope we can make a difference, even if it's a small one, Eddie said, sitting tall. You're looking every inch the Prince of Wales these days. Edmund, now that you're here, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are about your send-off to Sandhurst. Uncle Ridge cleared his throat. Your mother and I agree that we'll keep the gathering small and limited to family and a few of your close friends. Would you prefer to host it here, at Windsor, or at Sandringham? David placed a comforting hand on Edward's knee, lending his cousin his silent support. This was a battle his younger cousin would have to fight on his own. Eddie slowly pushed his chair back and stood, straightened his shoulders as he spoke. Father, I was hoping we could speak about that before you go any further. Uncle Reginald raised an eyebrow. He glanced first to David, then at his son and nodded. Certainly. What's on your mind? Eddie's Adam apple bobbed up and down. Father, I've decided I don't want to attend Sandhurst. The king coughed. Excuse me? Sir, I know it's rather late notice. Your military service is non-negotiable. The king stood so fast that his chair toppled backward, clattering to the ground. You are the future head of state and commander of the armed forces. How do you expect to serve your country if you haven't served or worn the uniform? Eddie didn't flinch at all at his father's harsh tone. David was impressed, but he could see his cousin needed a moment to compose himself. Uncle, if you'd hear Eddie out, he wasn't finished speaking when you cut him off. Very well. The king picked up his chair and resumed his seat. Father, please listen and do not interrupt me until I'm finished speaking, Eddie commanded sternly, locking eyes with his father. I did not say I didn't want to serve my country. I just wanted to do it in my own way. He placed his arms behind his back. Instead of enrolling in the officer's course at Sandhurst, I want to enlist and work my way up through the ranks. If I become an officer, I'll be a non-commissioned one. The most effective leaders earn the respect of others, and that's exactly what I intend to do. Enlist? Uncle Reginald asked, confused. Non-commissioned officer? For the first time in recent memory, the king was too stunned for words. Yes, sir, Eddie said in a patient tone. I've done my research, and I believe the best fit for me would be the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment. You and David are both members of the cavalry, and I'd like to continue the family tradition you two have established. I see. And what regiment would you choose? The Blues and Royals or the Life Guards? David chuckled. Which regiment indeed? Your dad was a member of the Blues, but I was a Life Guard. The two regiments may be under the cavalry umbrella, but there is a lot of pride at stake here. The Life Guards, sir. It's the oldest. David kept observing, allowing Eddie to guide the conversation. He circled around to where his father sat on the other side of his desk. And are you aware it's the most difficult course in the British Army? The king stroked his chin. Yes, sir. I've spoken to different officers at the Ministry of Defense. I understand exactly what the course entails, Eddie pointed out matter-of-factly. And is this your final decision? Nothing I say may sway you? You understand arrangements have been made for months at Sandhurst for your own safety and security. Father, I will not be deterred, and yes, I understand the hardship I'm placing on you and everyone involved in the logistics, but this is my future. I deserve to have a say in the decision, as you have taught me. David held his breath. It struck him that the situation Eddie was in shared so many similarities with Clara's. When she had voiced her frustrations with him about her security, it had been over his making a decision for her. He was beginning to have a better grasp on what she was expecting from him. Where she was coming from. What is she up to now? We haven't spoken in over 2 weeks. I miss her so much. All right, that's a yes, Eddie said gleefully. Yes, son, that's a yes. When all's said and done, you'll be the first member of the royal family to ever enlist. I'll see to it that everything is taken care of. I'm quite proud of you, you know. I may be tough, but it's my own way of showing how highly I think of the man you've become. Thank you, Dad. Eddie hugged his father. David took everything in, smiling. Well done, Eddie. He clapped him on the back when his cousin released his uncle. Opening his liquor cabinet, the king pulled out one of his favorite bottles of sparkling wine and poured each one of them a celebratory drink. They toasted one another, and David shared a few memories of his time in the cavalry with Eddie. David and I have a few more items to discuss, but before we leave, I need an answer from you. Where should we host your party? Eddie placed his glass down and said in a cheeky tone, how about my apartment at Kensington Palace? I can even make the arrangements myself. Kensington Palace is fine, but your mother is adamant that she should be in charge of planning the affair. If you'd like to take responsibility from her, it's up to you to try and sway her. Eddie deflated. On second thought, forget I ever asked it. Mom can be in charge of the arrangements. Smart lad. Never anger the woman in your life. That's a lesson I learned the hard way over time. You're dismissed. Please shut the door behind you. David fidgeted. Eddie gave a thumbs up to his cousin on the way out and happily left. Uncle Reg smirked at the closed door. Who would have thought my son would ask me to enlist in the army? He shook his head. One last topic of conversation this afternoon, the king continued, turning to David. How's your situation with Miss Little coming along? It's not. And have you made any attempts to apologize to her? David rubbed his temples, the emotional exhaustion of the last fortnight sinking in. No, Uncle, I haven't. Well, that's your problem. The king placed a hand on his shoulder. You can't just leave the situation alone. You have to help it along and do everything in your power to try and win her back, even if it's from a distance. I don't even know where to begin, Uncle Reg chuckled. As much as you may not want to hear this, if I were in your shoes, I'd get some advice from the experts, your mom and your aunt. David cringed. How do I know it was going to come to that? At this point, he would do whatever it took to get his Claire Bear back, even if it meant he'd have to concoct a crazy scheme with his mother. So that is the end of chapter 29, and just a few quick notes about this chapter. First, I'm sorry if I bumbled reading through it. It's, what happens when you record these live, or rather, just on the end of the night when you're tired. The Household Cavalry is the oldest regiment in the British Army, and there are indeed 2 regiments, the Life Guards and Blues and Royals. And at the time they were, when I originally wrote this book, they were only allowing men to serve, but that's since changed within the last 2 to 3 years. Now women are allowed to serve. It's pretty exciting, and that's part of it's covered in Designs on Love, one of my newer books that came out, I guess 2 years ago now. Eddie is enlisting. His story will come up in Jiving with the Royal, but I understand and have taken creative license that probably wouldn't happen in real life. Especially as the heir to the throne, he'd most likely go through Sanders no matter what. What else? I did put quite a bit of research into it, so I think if you are interested, the Jiving with the Royal read along, or if you want to check out the book, it will be quite illuminating to see behind the scenes what it was like to train take the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment writing course. I did conduct quite a few interviews for that, and let's just say the characters that join are quite interesting indeed. I'm trying to think, there was one other note I wanted to cover, and I believe that was on King Reginald. He is a strict father, however he is very loving and doting and does things in his own way, and I modeled him after one of the officers that I did meet that served in the Household Cavalry. So this is to you, Corporal of Horse E. I don't want to give his last name away just in case, but thank you for all your help. So if you'd like to read ahead and learn a little bit more about what's going to happen in the final few chapters, check it out. Until next time, I'll see you guys.